Hi, my name is Alex, and I'm going to tell you today about a classroom assessment technique called process analysis, and it's number 39 in this book, Classroom Assessment Techniques. So when I first looked at this, I had questions about it, and then I was thinking about my students, and in my particular context, and I'm going to be talking about writing in my particular context. But generally, are students aware there's a process? Have they ever been taught about a process? Because students are really thinking about products all the time. What do they have to hand in? What do they have to submit? And students probably need opportunities to understand the value of having a process. Contexts for using this particular technique, process analysis, are especially in writing courses, any kind of writing, including ESL, EAL, and then any kind of learning activity that has an iterative process. So even considering making this video, this is a kind of iterative process. I'm interested in the product because I want to submit it, but if I was in a video making course, it would be very good for me to understand the process as well of making a video. The strategy for writing, so for what I would be working with, would be to ask students to keep a record of the process that they go through as they complete a writing assignment. This requires quite a lot of work from the students, but of course also from the teacher, because you really have to plan the activity, prepare the students for the challenge of this, and then you have to spend time analyzing the results. Let me just disappear for a second. So principles driving this strategy. Bloom's taxonomy, this works at quite a high level of Bloom's. It's in the analyze area. It's a metacognitive activity, so the students are observing themselves and what they do. And as this comes from a unit in the book, which shows that it's a technique for assessing learner attitudes, values, and their self-awareness. An example from my context would be, let's say, an intermediate ESL, EAL class. They're going to be writing paragraphs, and perhaps you do this early in the course. You haven't seen their writing yet. So I would choose a simple paragraph assignment. Let the students know that they're going to be keeping a journal or a record of the steps that they follow as they write this paragraph, and that they will hand in both parts. I would consider giving them special paper for the process record, and I would probably do that even if they were going to do the paragraph itself on a computer, do the process record on a piece of paper. Make sure the students see an example of a paragraph and the process record, and then make sure that they have a rubric for both parts. Now, as with anything we do, there are some limitations. So the students may be resistant to keeping a record. It's going to be fairly challenging because it's time consuming, and they would think that it's difficult to do. It's also time consuming for teachers. You have to spend a lot of time analyzing this at the end. And you may need to offer some kind of a reward to the students for doing this activity. But there are advantages. So, students are so concerned with their product, but understanding, learning about the process, focusing their attention on the process is also important. And you can elicit the process steps from the students this way. You can use it to compare what you taught to what the students really do, and this process will probably uncover productive strategies that are to everybody's benefit. So I can see two ways to use this. One is that very early in the course, before you've been teaching about the writing process, you want to find out what processes students know or they use, but you could also use it later on in a course to compare what you taught to what the students are actually doing. As I mentioned before, consider offering some kind of a reward, and make sure plenty of time is allocated, both in the classroom and your own time in order to do the analysis. Providing feedback, give the students marks for the writing and a separate mark for their process record. And I would recommend batch marking all the writing first, and then allowing a little bit of time to go by, and then batch marking the process records. And then, when you talk to the students, highlight the fact that almost everybody was using some kind of process. See if you can highlight the common patterns, and then get the students to look at the material themselves, maybe work in groups, compare the different processes that were used by different students, and they can really get a lot out of that activity, learning from each other. These are the reference materials that I used to learn more about process writing and process analysis. And I use the app to record this. So my name was Alex Schmidt, and today I was telling you about a classroom assessment technique which is called process analysis. Thank you.